Hi guys, welcome back. So we are up at the haunt. Quick update. We won first place in all 3 of the parades that we were in, so that's really good. So right now, me and Lori are working on, I have Lori working on a bunch of masks for our mask makers room in Ward A, so that those are done when we reach that room. I'm working on, I just did, so hold on, let me show you this. So I have Tyler working on hanging up the rest of our plywood in this room. So he's already hung up a few skins over here. He's got to hang one there, right there, and then here, and reskin that one. So once that's done, this room can start being moved on. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. But anyway, so far I poured this, which is just kind of a skin mask I made a few years ago. I'm making those, so I'm making these masks out of cloth. It's kind of like a patient mask, and it'll have a bunch of chunks of faces in it. So it's not a full skin mask, but it's got like chunks of skin of faces in it with bandages and shit. I'll show you later on. Lori's working on painting these masks.
Hi guys.
Fun. And I'm gonna work on de-stressing all of these costumes in here. So I gotta have them all done. These are haunted house stuff, so stuff that I'm actually using. Then all this stuff is a part of our booth work, so stuff that will be for sale to people if they want to buy it. So yeah, and while we're hanging out in here watching Back to the Future Part 2, yeah baby. Alright, so I'm using this knife I got from hardware store. It's got a double edge on it, so it grabs really well. But the first thing I'm doing is I'm just using a knife or some kind of a blade, and I'm chopping the edge off of this dress. It'll just make it all fray a lot easier and make it look already actually frayed. And then once I start ripping it and adding holes and stuff, and as the actors wear it, it'll all fray and kind of wear on its own, so it's gonna look real good. Alright, so Lori's got our base coats on all of these at least, and I got 2 of these costumes all ripped up and got some paint on them. This one I used an airbrush in black. You can kind of see it. Did a lot around its neck and stuff like that. Armpits came down with the staining. This one I was using black, but the airbrush wasn't showing up, so I had to resort to spray paint. But then I ran out of black spray paint and had to move to a dark brown. So now I'll have to add lots of blood and stuff on those. I'm going to use a perma blood. I don't want to add all kinds of like moss and shit, because it'll just end up rubbing off, because these are haunted house actors. So anyway, we're going to head out of here for the night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, we're up here again. This mask I made yesterday, the latex one, it's dry now. Ready to pull. Yeah, all ready to go. But we had our parade this last weekend, and I have a few guys who wear these masks that they recommend you put baby powder in them before you stick it on. It helps them slide on and off. And they kept my baby powder that I use for when I sprinkle it on here when I'm making masks. The reason you do that is because if you don't, the latex it'll just screw up your mask. It makes it to where the latex won't stick to itself. That's why if you ever buy latex gloves, sometimes they are powdered, so they won't stick on themselves. So instead, I looked in our makeup thing, and I found this charcoal powder. This is a makeup powder. I'm gonna try and use this. I've never done this, but improvising today, so maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll be really cool. We're about to find out. Alright, it worked. No sticking to each other. So in a pinch, makeup dust will work just like a baby powder. So yeah, I'm gonna chop this up, chop out its mouth and eyes, and I'm gonna make a whole lot of these so we have spare noses, spare eyes, shit like that, to use wherever we want to use them. So yeah. Alright, so I'm de-stressing these costumes, and I've tried a lot of ways of making holes in costumes, and the best way I have found is a belt sander. If you have a tabletop one, it works better, but this works too. All I did was plug it in and I flip it over. I put a zip tie around our trigger, so when I plug it in, it's on, and when I want it off, I unplug it. All I'm doing is, you want to make it random, so I start with an area that I want a hole, I've got it on, and I just grab that and I run it right on our belt sander, and I watch it, make sure I hold it tight so it doesn't wrap up in there. Once it makes a hole, I move on. I grab a new area without looking at where I'm grabbing, and I grind it on there, and I keep moving it around and grabbing random areas until it's done. There's obviously areas you want to make sure that you hit, like the edges of it, and its neck. You always want to hit with lots of rough stuff, make it look gross. But now that I have holes in all this, and I'll try to show you one a little later, but I'm going to take this over to my airbrush now. I'm going to lay this up here and I'm going to airbrush on it. Alright, so here I'm using a mixture of just water and black house paint and an airbrush, and I'm going to airbrush around all these holes and our neck, and I'm going to do a modeling over everything to add some grime. Alright guys, so I'm up here again, still working on costumes. So I've hit a problem that I've never run into before. I'm working on a few costumes that are black. So you can't use black airbrush on a black costume because it won't show up. So I've been trying to use a bleach on this. It's a dress. You can see where like the bleach, it bleached all this. This was all black too, but now it's not. And I want to bleach this area on this dress. So yesterday I sprayed it all down and stuff, and that didn't work. I think it's because it's a silk, and I'm just kind of misting it on there, and it's not taking. So instead, I'm gonna lay it down. I'm gonna try to spray it on there with like a laser beam mode on our sprayer, our bottle right here, and hope that like it eats away at it and it soaks in and kind of takes that way. I'm gonna have on gloves. I'm gonna rub it in. It should take pretty quickly. And then I also tried it on this coat. This coat, I think it's having the same problem. Like, I don't know if you know this, but when you get like a coat or a dress, any kind of like a dress clothes, they're made to not absorb liquids so that they don't, it's hard to make them actually stain. So you can see like I sprayed this all down, but none of it changed. Yeah, you can see like a few places, like right here, some of the threads turned, and inside it all changed. That's kind of cool looking, but I want, you know, all this stuff to turn too, and it's not. So I'm going to try the same thing on this with our bleach. This is just pure bleach. I didn't add any water. It's from a dollar store. So yeah, I'm going to try that right now. Alright guys, so the bleach was not working, so I broke out the spray paints. I used white. I used this yellow gloss, whatever that is, golden sunset, a plain green, and then this brown 2mm espresso color to get these to look like this. This one, the light's not helping a lot. It's very green. There, that's kind of what it looks like. But you could see the whites, the greens. I used the browns. So a lot of what looks like green is actually the yellow. Then I used the brown just kind of like a mist over to bring it all down. So this is that coat that I was doing. It's all ripped up. It's scary looking. And this is that dress. Same thing happened here. Lots of white. I actually ran out of white halfway through this. So let me turn this around. Spread it out so you can see it. See these little holes we made all on the bottom. Lots of dirty nastiness. Here's the back side. I did like a heavy, like a brown line along the whole bottom, kind of sprayed all those hanging things so they're all nasty. Yeah, came out pretty good. Happy with it. So let's move on to something else. Alright guys, we're gonna head out of here for the day. So let me show you what I got done and what everyone else worked on. So last thing I was working on was this nurse's dress. So this is what it looked like before I did anything. And we're going for a much kind of a darker look. The light's kind of screwing it up, but it's very dark now. I outlined every line just in straight up black, and then I hit everything else with like a overspray, a modeling of black, so it gets much darker, but the light's screwing up at least what it looks like on the camera. I made one of our masks for Ward B, our patient's masks, so tomorrow I'll be able to paint this. Basically took these chunks of skin, eyes, a nose over here, a cheek thing, and put them all over this kind of patient's mask. Lori's been working on these.
Can we not show them? They look really bad.
I think they look awesome.
Well, those, yeah, I don't know what I was doing.
She's been working on these for the mask maker's room. I did this costume. I had Devin rip it all up. And I did the airbrushing on it, front and back. And we've got the other two that we did that you already saw. And Alyssa's working on repairing all of our nurses' dresses because they're ripped up. We haven't repaired them in years, pretty much since we've had them, so they've just been getting ripped up over time, losing buttons and shit like that. So anyway, we're gonna head out of here for the day. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of the stuff we do. We've got exciting stuff happening. We will be having our materials here very soon, so we will be knocking out the rest of our build. We've got a meeting that's going to be very interesting next week, so can't wait to tell you guys about that. Make sure you hit subscribe, comment if there's anything you want to see. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm Justin L. tuning out. You stay scary. Ow.
Bang, 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 bang! Vamonos, vamonos! Bang, bang, bang! Vamonos, vamonos!
Thank you guys very much.